Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to read a particular passage and it was about psychosis, which is some of the symptoms that you have with bipolar. And it says bipolar disorder is a mood disorder that features extreme shifts in mood during which psychosis can occur. Psychosis refers to a disconnected view of reality. A person with bipolar disorder can experience extreme shifts in mood and other symptoms. It can impact energy, activity levels, sleep, communication, and the ability to function. And that's what I wanted to bring out because it explains a lot of my symptoms and how my symptoms are braided together. Because some cases I will have a deep depression symptom, and that deep depression would be braided with hallucinations. It'd be braided with delusions, and the weight of having all three of those symptoms on your shoulder is so heavy, it would change your mood. And changing your mood, it will put you in a state of irresponsible responses, because it will make you it'll make you behave differently. For an example, I was in court today. I went to court today and I was dealing with a situation at court. I have to self-talk myself into the public. And that's another topic that we will talk about, because one of my PTSD symptoms is fear of people, and I see people as threats. So I will have to self-talk myself and prepare myself for the public, sometimes weeks in advance. So when I'm dealing with some of my symptoms, I'm going to particularly talk about deep depression right now, and it's going to be braided with delusions and hallucinations, because having bipolar 1 will make you psychotic. It will make you psychotic and you'll be out of touch with reality, and you will have to, your mood, you will act upon that fantasy. And I talked about that before. You're act upon that fantasy thinking it's a reality. I spoke before about my neighbor and how I was in fear of my neighbor, and I was in this delusion that my neighbor was out to get me and I was going to buy a weapon to protect myself. But I also said to apply a positive antidote to that is you triple check your thoughts. So I was in court today and I had about 5 triggers. We'll definitely talk about triggers because they happen every day. They happen so many ways and so many avenues. It can be people triggers. It can be a situational trigger. It can be an atmospheric trigger. But the trigger, so strong, it will change your mood. So this particular person did something. He did something to me, and it changed my mood. And how do you bring a positive antidote to a trigger instantly, at that moment, at that particular point, while the trigger is happening right then and there? And that's a good question for the table talk. Why? How can you do that right then and there? Because you're in public's eye. People see you and you can't react irresponsibly, because then the eyes turn on you as being the person that's not behaving properly. So I definitely had about 4 or 5 triggers. This person is taking my money. He's telling false accusations, and he's telling people one thing, defaming me, tearing down my reputation. Is just very, just a bunch of triggers. So I wanted to read that passage because that right there today was my day for deep depression, hallucination mixed with delusions. Because I promise you, all of that information he was saying to me, I immediately inverted and went into a low self-value frame of thinking. And when I went into a low self-value frame of thinking, it's almost like your symptoms don't give you a break. It's almost like your symptoms jump on you all at once. Then I started having the hallucinations that make me afraid. So then I started stepping back and started being in the corner and stopped speaking real low, like I was like a little baby. And then here comes the delusions. Now the person that's defaming me now he wants to kill me. You know, when you have symptoms and triggers like that, it's just very outlandish. It's just all out of control, and it's just over exaggerated. And after that, I just totally came home and I had to do a wind down. I had to wind down from that court session today. And that's another thing I wanted to point out. You are allowed to have a moment to regroup. Sometimes the triggers are too much. Sometimes the hallucinations and delusions are just overwhelming, and you can't put it together, and you can't collect your positive antidotes fast enough. I understand. You are not alone. You are allowed to walk to the bathroom. You're walk to the coffee pot. You are allowed to walk away and give yourself a wind down moment. It's a regroup. Get your head together. Get back in the game. But the benefit of it is you don't stop. You don't stop. All you're doing is recollecting so you can refresh, get back in the game and get things started all over again. And that's what I learned today when I got out of court. I allowed him to just turn me into this fearful, scared, you're going to hurt me, I'm going to go home and lock myself in the house type of a thinking. And we have to be careful, because I believe my symptoms braid themselves together, because my bipolar 1, deep depression, it's braided in a little bit to my PTSD, deep depression, because my PTSD, when it paralyzes me and not let me live my life and have a happy life, I go into a depressed mode as if I can't move any further, or I can't do any more. I'm stuck. So that makes me depressed. Then it can be the atmosphere. The atmosphere will depress you. And then you will depress yourself. You'll have low self-value. You'll feel like you're not enough. And you feel like taking your life would be a benefit. So don't think no one's out there that don't understand. I understand. I'll go further talking about my suicide attempts and how I had my turning points. My turning points was I have a future to look forward to. My turning point is my business life plan. I would like to see how that looked in a 5-year projection. So I have to stick around for 5 years to see how that looks. I want to be here. I want to be here. I want to take in life. I want whatever life has to offer me, I want it. And I have to be around to take that in. No matter what other people say, no matter what I say to myself. Start writing into your gratitude journal. I write into a gratitude journal, and I start telling myself in my gratitude journal, you are worth a future. You deserve it. You deserve a future. So let's start making our gratitude journal, stretching our list out, finding out what we say to ourselves that make us have expensive and increase our value. And I definitely have to work on it, because today, this situation, I came home and I closed my door and I had to regroup and I had to do a self-assessment. That's another thing about self-assessments. You can do self-assessments at any time of the day. You can do it at work, at lunch, at break. You can take a break, go into the bathroom and do a self-assessment. I had to stop and I had to do a deep scan of my brain for truth. And the deep scan of my brain for truth is I allowed that gentleman to contaminate my thinking, to contaminate what I believed about me. And he totally changed my mood. So I behaved irresponsibly. So everything is a chain reaction. It's never just mood change and that's it. Once he changed your mood, you're going to have an output, and your output is going to be an irresponsible response, because you are feeding off of that bad behavior. You're feeding off of what he said to you, what he did to you, what he called you, what he the false allegations, and then the images in your mind, what they played in your mind. You're believing those falsehoods that's in your mind. That's what I did all day today. My mind just played tricks all day today, and I just took it in and I believed it. And when I came home and did my self-assessment, I said to myself, that will never happen again. I will never put myself in a position like that again, to absorb all of that negativity in my system and then behave irresponsibly. From now on, I should be prepared and I should be ready for triggers, because triggers, they are one of my problems, because every time a trigger happened to me, I immediately run back into a cubbyhole like a fox. And I stay there till the coast is clear. And then while I'm in the cubbyhole like a fox, my mind is playing tricks on me, saying, oh, don't come out, because there's fear out there, there's death out there. I have a thing with that. I'm always thinking about death. Death is, they're going to harm you, they're going to kill you. Don't go out there, stay in the cubbyhole. And then I'll be in my home for almost a week, not enjoying or not getting things done and not living life. So those are suggestions on the table. Let's figure out how to do better in that area. I'm taking all suggestions on that, because we need each other. We're going to talk about connections. We need each other. You help me. I help you. We help others. We survive because of the connection. And there is no right and there is no wrong. It's only help. And that's what we do. And I appreciate most of the information coming in is more from a textbook point of view. I would love to hear a patient's point of view. It is such a good point of view to put on the table for talks, because a textbook point of view is a professional psychiatrist or clinician. She's telling us what she read, and that's wonderful, because we need them. They're good partners to have. But to have someone to have that experience and walk the walk, that's even better. That's even better, because then we can relate to each other. Could I be like, yeah, I had that too. So how? What's your suggestion? How do we fix that? Do we come up with better routines and regimens? How do we fix that? So that'd be great. So let's get more patient points of views out there, and let's live and love life. Until next time, stay healthy.